What's good? If you love great stories, love basketball, and just love the pod, this is the episode for you. Listen to how Chris and Tyler speak about communication and how that has allowed them to progress forward in their career. Come on, man. Come on. When you are going through college, the number one thing you should be doing is networking, but efficiently. Efficiently. Listen to how they have used their networking and communications and the resources around them effectively to be able to put them in the places that they are in today. I'm excited for you guys to listen to the pod. I'm excited for you guys to just relax, kick back, and catch a vibe. This your first time listening? Please leave a like, please subscribe, and comment if you feel like. I always like to say that because you know why? We are family. And I'm excited for you guys to tune in and kick it. As I always say, be great. Why? Because I think you're great. Choom out. What's good, wonderful people of the world? My name is Toby. You are kicking it with me. So today we have two special guests. They have been on the pod previous times. Two of my best friends played basketball with them at Rosemont. You already know what the vibes are. One of them is a Laker, well, not a Lakers fan, a LeBron fan. The other is a fan of any Philadelphia sport, which I don't know why, because none of the Philadelphia sports are good. But two of my best friends, Chris Briner and Tyler Petroski, both from Harrisburg, played basketball in Harrisburg. McDevitt, and where did you play, Tyler?
Middletown. I started at McDevitt my first 2 years, and then I transferred over to Middletown. That's where I graduated from.
Hey, and they've just been rocking with me ever since. So I'll let them kind of just introduce themselves and just go from there.
I'll start it off. Like Tobe said, my name's Tyler Petroski. I played Rosemont with Tobe. I played at Rosemont with Tobe for 2 years. Lived with him for those 2 years. So, it's a good time. I'm ready to kick it back on the podcast with Tobe again.
Let's get it.
Yep. Likewise, what Tyler said. Went to Rosemont with Tobe. My name's Chris. Lived with Tobe for 3 years, 2 years. Your first year, yeah, two.
It was two.
Yeah, but no, excited to kick it on the podcast with Tobe again. It's been a little bit since we hopped on. I forget, was it like 2022, 2021 last time?
That might have been 2020. That might have been COVID.
It might have been.
Actually,
I think it was 2020, like September, October. I had to look.
But I remember you were like, you want to hop on the pod? We hopped in a little study bubble up top the community center.
Exactly.
Was it in the study bubble?
Yeah.
At my house.
No, bro, we were just chilling.
No, so that one was you and Nick.
Okay. Yeah.
That was right. You and Nick. That was you and Nick. That was the one that was at your house, and I brought up my podcast equipment. I remember that. But yeah, man, I'm excited to have you guys on the pod. This is going to be a phenomenal time. And, today's topic is going to be how to build effective relationships. That's key. And, having two of my closest friends on here, I felt as if it would be the perfect topic for you guys. And before we get into that, I always have to have a thinking like Tobe. And today's thinking like Tobe is going to be a little different from the previous ones. So today's thinking like Tobe is, what teams do you guys think are going to make it to the NBA championship? I need to hear what Petroski is going to say. Mr. Pet, let's go. I see you brain cooking.
So out of the East, my pick.
The Sixers.
We're hot right now. We're playing the Sixers, yeah. I think we're on a roll right now. I think we got a good team. In the off season we lost a couple big pieces like PJ Tucker. Yeah. Obviously is always a good guy to have on the squad, but we filled him back in with arguably another leader like that, a better leader like that with Pat Bev. So I don't know. That's my pick in the East. And then in the West, it's so hard to pick from the West, man.
I know.
The West, like being a Sixers fan, if the Sixers were in the West, it's scary out there, man. I don't know. Anybody could come out of there because you got the Suns that are so good that they're probably sitting at like 8th in the East in the West right now. But I think the Timberwolves are leading the West right now, so it's like I don't know. It's still early on in the season, but I think it might be like Sixers Lakers. I know Chris wants to hear that. Sixers Suns, Sixers Warriors. You never know.
I don't think the West is as strong this year though. Like I think the East is better this
I
year.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that, but I was gonna let you finish.
You
Yeah.
don't think, bro?
I mean like think about with like the Timberwolves, like I just personally don't think Cat can play.
Nah.
Like he just he's good, but I don't think he can withstand like when have we ever seen him go deep in the playoffs? Like yeah, he never had Ant Edwards who is killing it right now.
Yeah,
Ant,
but
Ant
when
is
you're going up against superstars, bro, and Edwards is building his name for himself, but I don't think he's on that level yet.
yeah, I don't know. I mean to go back with what you said about your Sixers, you know, I have a little bit of beef with the Sixers. Shout out some of my roommates from Rosemont. Instead they instilled that little bit of hatred. And I am a Philly sports fan as well. But the Sixers are the one exception. And I mean I'm just anticipating another second round exit. If you run into the Celtics, the Bucks, I mean those teams are like Dame Lillard with Giannis is crazy. Uh oh my gosh, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, Kristaps, Jalen Brown, like that team is dangerous. But coming out the West, I mean, I might say the Nuggets again, to be honest with you, because that boy
Mm,
Jokic, Jamal
So
Murray,
it's hard to count them. It's hard to count them out, bro.
it
yeah,
is. I
that
might I
is.
might count the Warriors out though. I might count them out.
I,
They're looking.
I can't be mad at that. I can't be mad at that. You know, I think, but one team on the West that you guys are both counting out, OKC. That
Oh
them
yeah,
those cats are crazy.
yeah.
They're super young, but they play. I think they're sitting at like I think mid in the West, like 5 or 6 or something.
I'm
So
like
like
that.
I think that they can make some noise. And the Pacers with that Pascal Siakam trade, they were
Mm,
already good without him. This is really going to make them a little bit more stable. They're going to get at least to that second round of the playoffs
Yo,
with this trade.
I like both of those teams, and I know you got you may or may not have a little bias to the Pacers, living in Indy for a little bit, um, but no, I think the Pascal Siakam, you brought up a good point, bro. I think that's going to be like make or break for them because obviously they were good. They got Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, he's been going insane this whole year. So
Killing it.
and the Thunder, SGA, you know, what I mean,
MVP.
Exactly.
he's going crazy too. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot riding on their back
Mm,
to get out of the West on those two specific players. But if they can come together as a team, especially with that Siakam trade, like you said.
yeah. I think I remember I was listening to I can't remember was it either First Take or Club Shay Shay. I just know Shannon Sharp was a part of it. And they said, would you rather take Luca or Shay?
I'm
Wow.
taking Luca, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
You're
Yeah,
taking Luca?
I'm probably
Yeah.
taking Luka.
I don't know yet. I don't know. I mean, Luca's younger, he's been doing it longer, and he's just a phenomenal player. But like and he brought that team back to where it is now. But like you gotta think about it. Shea came from OKC was the bottom of the bottom a
Yeah.
few years back. And
And he
like you
doesn't
see
have Tyree.
that's what I'm saying. So I'm just like, I don't
I don't
know,
know.
bro.
I think Luca, his play style is a little bit different. It's kind of slower than what the league is thinking right now.
Yeah,
Which you never know because like people come in the league like Steph Curry change the whole game. Everybody wants to be like Steph Curry. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I think Luca could have a bigger impact on the game for
that's
sure.
true.
But I don't know. You can't like we were saying before. You can't count SGA out, man. He's a dog.
He's a dog. Roof, roof.
I think Luca has that passing ability like LeBron though. Like
That's
he has
true.
he has those, he gets his teammates involved. I don't know. They both have that aspect where they draw the defense in when they have the ball. But I think Luka's passing ability is one aspect that, is over SGA's.
And I will say, like, he's a triple-double threat every game, Luka.
Yeah.
Like, he's liable. Like, I don't quote me on this, but he probably averages somewhere around 6 or 7 rebounds a game. So he's liable to get those numbers any night. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
No, I agree. The one thing I just don't like about Luka is how much he complains. It's just kind of like it's kind of annoying.
That's the
What
NBA though. Like
are you about to say?
everyone, I don't know. I think like this is my hot take. Like it's hard to watch the NBA sometimes with the way that they're officiated. Like I feel like every time someone comes down the court, like there's a whistle being, like it's every single time someone's like nudged, touched. I come at Embiid a lot for his flopping, but it's really just like the nature of the league right now. Like everyone flops and everyone's getting these calls where, in the early 2000s, like, you're going down the lane getting I feel like the early 2000s into like 2000 like 10, 2012, that was like almost in my opinion, that was like the purest form of the NBA.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this though. Do you think because all three of us were college basketball players, and not to sound conceited or whatever, but we know the game a little bit better than most NBA viewers, do you think that has an effect on what you see as the right call, or like a foul or anything like that?
I'd say so. I think most people that do play the next level, like after high school and most any sport, I think like your knowledge of the game like has to be increased. Like, whether it be baseball, lacrosse, soccer, like when you get to that next level in college, whether it be, D3, D2, D1, like your knowledge has to increase because the game's much faster. Everyone's, at a more even playing field. I definitely see the game way different. Like even like after my first whole season as a freshman, I was watching basketball completely differently. So I think that definitely has something to do with it.
Yeah, I completely agree with Chris. When you look at the game, it's almost as if like, don't you know when you buy a car or something and you see that car all the time after you purchase it? It's the same thing with like playing basketball. It's like you play it so much, you know the rules, you know the knickknacks that you can get away with and the ones that you can't. And you kind of look at that when you're watching it from your TV or even in live. And I think just playing basketball has helped like really see the game in a different light because a lot of
Mhm.
people are going to say um a flopping foul, blah blah blah, just because someone does that and like throws their body back is actually a flop. No, sometimes that force from the offensive player is actually making that person's body do that. To what extent, we don't know. We're not the people getting pushed, but you can clearly tell if it's a flop or not. But some people just like, oh my God, the ref made the wrong call. No,
Yeah.
everybody makes different calls. So I just think just playing it really has helped watch the game in a different way. But that was a good question, Pat. I like that. I like that.
Mhm.
Wanted to start off the pod like this, topic is building effective relationships. And having you both on, we've known each other since 2018, I want to say.
Yeah.
Um, how has, building how have you guys been able to find good friends, good people that in your industries? By the way, I don't think I even said what industries you guys work in. I know, Pat, you work in the sports marketing industry, and Chris, you work in the accounting industry, finance. So, how has building relationships, one on a personal level as well as a professional level, helped you guys get to where you are now?
Um, I think it all starts with your personal relationships like that. Finding people that have the same values to you, people that are genuine, kind of being able to talk to anybody about anything. That's who I like to surround myself with. And I think that because I have that base with my personal relationships, I think I can see through anything that's not that in my professional. So I think kind of just laying a base ground of what you need from a person in a professional or personal relationship or friendship is kind of detrimental, can prove detrimental to any relationships that you try to form after that.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, having positive relationships is, one of the most important things that you can do in this life, and have in this life. I just from like reading different things, scrolling through the internet, social media, I'm always seeing like studies done about how like one of the biggest factor in happiness is the positive relationships you have, and just just in general the relationships you do have in life. And from my own point of view, I think going through different types of environments, from playing college basketball to high school football, and then a completely different realm of corporate accounting. Like I've kind of gone through different environments, and the main thing that I would take from that is, when it comes to relationships, always be yourself. Like that's the number one thing. Like like Ty said, like, holding your values, keep, wearing your heart on your sleeve, or however that saying is. Like, be yourself when it comes to these different environments. That I think that helps you adapt to the different environments. And also the other factor is just having an open mind. Um, Everyone's gonna have a different, point of view towards things. Being able to listen, being able to, have those conversations about stuff that you might not know about, or that builds relationships. Just it's pretty simple, just having an open mind towards things, being yourself through it all. Different environments really help, you know and then just the how you go through these different environments and adapting to them, um and taking relationships out of them. It's really helpful in life to just carry those relationships through. Uh i I will always say, like, the relationships I made at Rosemont, wouldn't trade them for anything. And even, throughout my job for the past year or two, some of the relationships I made, I've already, hold dear. And I see myself being friends with a lot of the people I've met throughout my life, and that's important, because it's always a resource for you. Everyone's a resource for you. And I think that's another important part of relationships is, those people being resources for you in a time of need. If you have a question about something that, someone else might have some expertise in, it all ties together.
I love,
And
I love.
I think you made a good point about having an open mind, because um when you come together in different scenarios like that, everybody's gonna have different points of views. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you uh whatever you make of that is the experience you'll get out of it. Because
Hmm.
if you go in with the mentality that I'm right and we're gonna do it my way, you will never succeed in anything, because
Yeah.
almost everything you do is in a team setting, which I'm so grateful that, like you said, Chris, the relationships at Rosemont kind of forges that mentality into you, that no matter what different points of view everybody has, coming together for one end goal is ideal in any situation.
Yeah. And it does help the team too, like in any team aspect. Like
Yeah.
when each team or in one team, you know, if everyone has the same point of view, it might make it, you know, it might make it a cleaner slate to get to your end goal because everyone's on like the same page. But when there's different point of views, it almost, you know, like that one way might not be the right way. When you have different point of views and different, you know, ideas to bring to the table, it's like, oh, well, that might be a better way of doing it. Oh, actually, you know, he brings up a good point. She actually made a, you know, it having those different point of views and like, you know, having a, you know, a healthy debate over things. I think that is also important, you know, in getting to an end goal. Because that necessarily doesn't mean you're on the same page. It just means you might have, you know, different experiences. So, you know, some person might have an experience in that same, you know, end goal, and you know the other people don't. And it's like, oh, well, I did this before. I've had this experience. And I think that also builds trust. Like, you know, when you each have the end goal, um, and then you accomplish it together, having different point of views, it builds trust. And I think trust is a if not the biggest, you know, aspect of a healthy, positive relationship.
Man, you guys both just kind of gave so many different gems on so many different levels that like
Mhm.
I'm still processing myself.
That's what
You
we
know,
do, Toe. Come on, man. You know that.
no, man, you know, just hearing you guys speak, you know, one thing kind of really resonated with me was the values, just being yourself. You know, in the pod, we like to talk about how you can get and find and chase your dreams being yourself instead of, you know, having imposter syndrome or, you know, just you even said it, adapting, but in the most effective way and not losing who you are.
Mhm.
So just want to see how you guys able to one continue, especially in college, continue to, you know, stay who you are and keep your values and find people that have the same values as you and being who they are. Because, you know, when you meet someone, especially in college, you know, you get a little lost because one, you're away from home. Two, you're trying to really find your niche as far as your profession. And three, you're just trying to find people to hang out with. You know, both you guys played basketball, so it might have been a little bit easier because you're already set with like 11 to 15 other guys.
Mhm.
So how were you guys able to like stay true to those values and find people that have the same values as well as genuine themselves?
So I think you made a good point. Kind of that not everybody has going into a college scenario is uh, we were walking into a family that was already built. You know what I mean? So, but that doesn't mean that you have your circle of friends just because you're in this environment. You know what I mean? But I think it's kind of redundant. But going back to just going in with an open mind and kind of being yourself throughout that whole experience will kind of show you the people that you want to surround yourself with. Because if you're yourself, no matter what, it doesn't force other people to be themselves, but you obviously can't control what face people put on every day, but you will figure out kind of who you can rely on when things get hectic off the court. Because in that family, you'll figure out that going back to end goals, we all have the end goal in the basketball program is to win a CSAC chip, go to get a bid. But through that experience, you'll find people that you can rely on off the court for real life issues, because at the end of the day, everything's bigger than basketball. No matter you play college basketball for 4 years, and then after that, you're in the real world. So it's kind of being true to yourself throughout that experience, and that will help you weed out who you can rely on with real world issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that makes sense, Chris.
Yeah, no, I think Ty hit it on the head there, but just kind of piggybacking off of it, and giving like a shout out to the people at Rosemont and just, you know, the school and the experience I had, like it was almost like an expectation, like we, you know, to be yourself, like on the basketball team, you know, there wasn't really like any fake energy, like everyone was themselves, like, and that was kind of the expectation, and that's what, you know, most people, you know, were themselves, and that almost, you know, it it you know it was easy to be yourself is what I'm trying to say. So I think it's a shout out to like that environment in itself. You know, I got on campus and I was, you know, everyone's nervous for the most part going into college, you know, meeting new people, new environment. But being yourself was like, you know, it's like it's hard because you're like, oh, I want to, you know, adapt. I want people to, you know, like me. I want to fit in. But you know, Rosemont made it easy because everyone was just themselves. And that helped, and that made it easy to make relationships. Going back to what I said before about, you know, the school in general. You know, it wasn't the biggest school. You know, a lot of us didn't have the same experience. Some of our other friends did go into these big campuses. But I don't have any regrets in that realm. Like I made, you know, so many good friends that I'll, you know, to, you know, the day I die, then I'll have those friends. And that's one thing about it that makes me not regret going to a big school, or, you know, and playing basketball at a Division III school. I maintain those relationships. And that, you know, all thanks to the school itself, and you know, the basketball program, all the people involved there. I'm definitely in a, you know, gratitude. I have gratitude towards that whole aspect of it.
No, man, that's awesome. Chris, I have a question for you. Out of the 3 ties that you met, which one's your favorite?
That's a crazy question. I mean,
No, I'm just
my
Who's
man
your,
Pet is the
who have you known the
second.
longest though?
Yeah, I was gonna say I've known Pet the longest. But shout out Morgs and Mike's. Mike's was my roommate from the jump. Man, we've gone through it all together. Morgs, that's my Jersey guy. He's been you know, the best friend you could ask for. I could never put, you know, a stamp on one of them. I mean, all 3 of us together living in Manioc, you know, we've had the best times together. Man, those memories are priceless. I can never put a number 1 on each one.
no.
That's a good answer to keep everybody happy, bro. But we know the answer.
No, man. I just want to just make Pat a little anxious, you know.
Stir the pot a
No,
little bit.
no, um, no, I love both of you guys' answer. You know, I completely agree with both of you guys. You know, coming from a community college, going into Rosemont, you know, it was kind of strange for myself as well. So, like, you guys are right. You know, Rosemont does allow for everyone to kind of be themselves. Granted, it's less than 1,000 students there, but like everyone knows everyone. But you know, yes, there were good and bad times to it all. That's just life. But
Right.
there were more good times than bad times at the school, and you know, that was just the beauty of it. You know,
Oh yeah.
which was awesome. You know, same people playing pickup ball. You know, it was just a different feel, and you know, just going into that, why do you how do you think the transition from, you know, Rosemont to the real life has been for you guys? Pat, you just recently graduated. Chris, you graduated 2 years ago. Well, almost 2 years, 22.
Yeah,
Um,
summer of 22.
yeah. With your masters, and you both are doing a profession that you both study for. How's that transition been for you guys? And during the down times or during the times where it might get a little challenging, who are the people that you're kind of, reaching out to kind of gain advice or gain mentorship?
So going back to what Chris had said before, the small community aspect of Rosemont, I mean that in and of itself kind of um, helped the transition, because in that small community aspect type thing, you build relationships. You're not just another number to the professors or anything. So shout out Professor Crawford, shout out Hags. Especially in the sports world, in that small community, they are much more willing to help you with whatever you may need, get an internship, applying for jobs, doing work outside of the course load. So I think because of the experiences that we had, well, I had, but I'm sure I'm speaking for everybody at Rosemont, it helped the transition, because they prepare you as a professional during your senior year, kind of trying to train you on what to expect.
Yeah, so I think having the small community aspect at Rosemont, and building those relationships, it's kind of on brand for the episode here, building those relationships with the people that have experience within the industry that you may want to get into, and even the people that aren't in the industry that you want to get into, because I feel that any relationship that you have, especially when trying to build a network for a professional standpoint, is you never know when you could use it, So I think the transition was pretty smooth from college into the workforce, because of, the close people that I had around me on a personal level, and then the mentors I also had within the staff at Rosemont.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Ty. I would definitely say, like, having the small classroom allows you to build those relationships, like on par with this episode of the podcast, and building relationships, and having effective ones too. Like, everyone has relationships, but like having an effective relationship where you feel comfortable enough to reach out to them is also very important. Like, I still reach out to Professor Hagedorn every so often, just to, talk about the struggles I'm having with my job. You know, because it's hard going from like these first couple of years going into like the real job, like the real world. It's very difficult. And that's something that I anticipated, but everything kind of comes at you fast. So, we're still worried about playing basketball and, getting into the playoffs in February and March. And then all of a sudden I have a real job in May and June. Like, within a couple months, it's like a quick turnaround. And that's one thing I wasn't really prepared for. But having those relationships and being able to ask questions, whether it be your parents, your siblings, your good friends, old classmates, professors, it's very important. And especially coming from, playing sports our whole lives, like all three of us did, and then having a completely different environment and pace of life just switch up. It's hard. I'm like that, like getting that fulfillment, like that adrenaline rush is hard when you're working on a computer all day. And I still struggle with it. You kind of have that identity throughout your life that you're a college athlete, you're a student athlete, and then all of a sudden then you're an accountant, and then or you're a finance, you're a sports marketer, you're a athletic assistant, at Syracuse. It's like, wow, this everything's switching. Now you guys are still in the realm of sports, which I'm sure helps you know, reconcile for that, that sports that we played all of our lives. But it's definitely a big switch that it was very underestimated in my mind. But you adapt, you overcome the challenges, you're adverse. It's one thing that our coach always you know, taught us was just handling adversity. I think that's a lesson that you can really carry throughout your life, not just on the basketball court. Being able to, just have the mental fortitude to overcome difficult situations, it's important. And I think it's way easier to do that when you have good relationships, and you have people to fall back on. Um, like during, this time of year for myself, it's a very busy time, working overtime. You get lost a little bit in the work, but having those people to fall back on and just kind of take your mind off things, gives you some peace of mind. So, um, I'm very thankful for the relationships I have and that I've built throughout my life. It's something I hold, I'll probably say this many times throughout this podcast, is I hold, the relationships that I have, closest to my heart.
And I think you brought up a good point. What Bob would always tell us. Bob is our college coach, but
Shout out, coach.
yeah, shout out Coach Bob. You said kind of instilling to dealing with adversity, but we all went through a weird time in the world during COVID. And kind of one thing that stayed consistent throughout the basketball program and throughout Rosemont was, look, stuff's going to happen. And we can't spend time complaining on the situation that we're in now. We just have to figure out kind of how we're dealing with it. So I think that's a huge lesson, kind of to take from those experiences, which were tough in the moment. But looking back at it, all those, those little one-liners or that mentality that's trying to get instilled into you, even though in the moment it may sound like just writing it off, but now that you're in the workforce, is kind of everything kind of embodies that.
Yep.
No, that's really awesome, you guys. Shout out Coach Bob, shout out Hags, shout out everyone from Rosemont, because it's true. They do instill, you know, small sayings like that. The school's logo is the power of small. I said logo, slogan is the power of small, and it's true. The people that are there, they help you. They care about your next steps. It helps that it's only a class full of 30 students instead of 300 students, because then you're able to connect with your professors on a more, I wouldn't even say intimate level, but more on a personable level, because they want to see you succeed. And it shows for the both of you guys. You both are doing what you guys went to school to study, which is not what everyone is able to do coming out of college. And I want to say, you guys are just doing amazing things, and I'm happy that Rosemont, one, gave you guys the tools to succeed, but two, you guys were able to build and take advantage of the relationships on campus and off campus. Um, you know, Piece of advice is always given to somebody. You kind of spoke on it as far as adversity. What's that one piece of advice throughout your life that you have heard that always stuck with you to this day?
I think it's not the same, but it kind of embodies what I just brought up about, when adversity hits, who's going to rise to the top and kind of assess the situation. And I think that comes from not complaining about the situation you're in, because at the end of the day, that's not going to do anything. You have to take it for what it is and kind of find the best solution through that. And I think everything we've been talking about, teamwork and everything, value and your values, and then taking other people's into consideration, kind of all embodies that. And it all leads to understanding the situation you're in and then trying to find the best solution out of it.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. Best piece of advice that I've gotten that I usually like to go back to Bible, Bible verses. Like God gives his toughest battles to his toughest soldiers. You know, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Uh I can't really put a pin on one, quote or piece of advice that I've gotten because I've gotten so much. My dad's always, spurting out motivational quotes at me.
Shout out Frank too.
Shout out Frank.
Shout out Frank too.
We both were on the same page, man.
Shout out Frank too.
Yeah, shout out Frank. He's great. But I think one that's, it could sound a little morbid, but one thing that the one quote that I really like is, if you're going through hell, keep going. That can also be pretty extreme, but like you could also say, if you're going through hard times, keep going, like to get out of those hard times. Those are kind of like little motivational things that I like to think about when, you're going through tough times. They don't last. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Those kind of things I like to think about throughout, when you're going through a hard time or going through some stressful times. That's what they would, everyone would say that during COVID. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. And, we got through that whole time period. But yeah, stuff like that I like to think about.
No, that's awesome. You do have to rise to the top. You have to find that leader that's going to come about when it comes to adversity. And Chris, toughest soldiers are given. God does give his toughest challenges to his toughest soldiers. It's true. Everyone deals with stuff. I'm even dealing with something right now that I spoke to you about earlier today. And it's all about how are you going to strive and get through it? Are you going to complain and think about every negative thing that comes with whatever it is? Or are you going to find the most positive aspect of it and keep going that way and just be optimistic and keep on living life? It's
Yeah.
it's all about. I always go back to this. Whatever you feed your mind is what you're going to get out of your mind. So if you keep feeding your mind negativity, if you keep putting yourself around negative people, you're not gonna love your life. You're not gonna love what the world has for you. You're just gonna complain about everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys really hit it on the nail on the head with the with both of your quotes. And I want to kind of wrap up the podcast like this. What would you, for the listeners out there, what's some advice that you would like to give them, as far as, building relationships, getting to that next step, their transition out of college, probably their transition into college, just any piece of advice.
I would say any new experience you go into, it's kind of the overarching theme of this whole episode here, but have an open mind. Go in thinking you don't know anything, because if you go in thinking that you have all the answers or that you are the big man on campus, it rubs off on people a different way. So, and I would say without having that attitude, you can go in and kind of meet people at a base level. Just have a simple conversation with people. And like I said before, you never know when anybody that you meet is going to be able to help you out. So try to just make relationships, even if it's just an acquaintanceship. You're just acquaintances with somebody. have that contact, meet as many people as you can. And yeah, it'll take you, it's, there's that saying that it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And being in the workforce now out of college, it's just that, you know what I mean? So when you meet with people, give them the time, listen to what they have to say, and it'll pay dividends for you.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would.
Yeah, go.
I would say, just, be kind to everyone, especially, coming in the new environments, in the new, places in your life as you go throughout life, just be kind to everyone. That goes a long way in itself. Follow your heart, be, try, achieve happiness. Like, you could have $1 million in the world, but, if you're not happy, it means nothing. Strive to be happy with what you do in life. And when you do have something in mind, like just work hard at it. Get your ambition is just as important as how hard how hard you work. That it ties together, but having that ambition towards something allows you to work hard. You can work hard at something but not have ambition towards it. I know that's a little confusing, but it really helps when you have, when you tie all of it together. You want to be happy in life. Um, Strive for that happiness, work hard at it, and have the ambition to be happy and reach that end goal. And yeah, like Ty said, just have an open mind towards everything. You're gonna meet new people, you're gonna have new experiences. Um, it's all about having an open mind once you get into these new environments, and that takes you a long way. So for all those people listening, just be kind, have an open mind, and strive to be happy with what you do in life.
I love it, man. I love it. You guys are just dropping gems. Pet, I was gonna say, what are you, the stock market now with the dividend comment? I love it. Oh my God.
Yeah, bro, that's all them years living with Chris. I hear the accounting terms.
No, man, Chris, I want to kind of just, reiterate how much your point as far as, the ambition part, it's as simple as this, someone might work hard to, for instance, we have let's say there's a basketball player that works hard to play basketball, but that's not their true passion. So the ambition is going to be there, but they're good enough to play. So they're going to keep playing, but their head is somewhere else 95% of the time. So I think that's what you were trying to get with it, that
Yeah,
passion aspect. And I love that because, it's true. You know how many people work hard on a day-to-day basis, but hate their job?
yeah,
They want to get out because why? They don't have the ambition to succeed at that job. They just doing
right,
it for the benefits that it gives them at that moment, and they want something different. They want to work in a different industry. They want to do something different, but they're doing what they can do at the moment as hard as they can do it.
right.
So that's a great point, man. And I love that you brought that up. And thank you guys just for coming back onto the pod, man. You know, both of you guys are doing amazing things, which makes me happy because you guys are the people I go to 95% of the time whenever Pet wants to answer the phone or Chris isn't watching UNC beat down on Syracuse.
They're orange, man. They're orange.
But yeah, no, you guys are just awesome. Your journeys are amazing. And just thank you for just coming on to the pod and just speaking relationships and speaking on professional growth, because you guys are a walking testimony of everything that you're saying. And, it's good to see that.
Yeah, bro, of course. I love coming back on here whenever I can get a hold of you.
Well,
Likewise, and I just want to give a shout out real quick to my Michigan Wolverines Natty Championships. They called us cheaters. They called us cheaters the whole season.
You guys did cheat.
15-0. Beat Bama. They said we wouldn't beat Bama. They said Michael Penix would throw for 500 on us. 15-0.
Look at
Just had to
look
give
at
a shout
Toad.
out.
Tobe's shaking his hands like he's a Wolverine fan.
Go
Gotta give
blue.
a shout out.
Go blue. That's crazy,
Hey,
Chris.
hey man, I just root for the underdogs. I don't care. Look, if my team isn't in it, I'm looking for the underdog. And apparently Michigan was the underdog.
Yes, we
Technically,
were.
their seed rank didn't show that they
No,
were
they
the
weren't.
underdogs. Yes, they
They
were.
were
If
not
you
the underdogs.
if
No,
you
they were like the 4.5-point favorite
no, not that very first game, not against Bama. They were the underdogs
in the
against
national
Bama.
championship. Yeah, we're not
No,
talking
no,
about
no, no. Yes, we are. We're talking about it as a whole. It's only
Bro,
2
okay.
games in the CFP.
So we were
So-
the betting favorite, but
What does that
I
mean,
think-
though? What does that mean, though? What are we basing favorites off now?
so the
Hold up.
betting favorite is just the logic of it. Number
Chris,
one,
I mean, Toby, you want to wrap this up? Or
No, no,
then
no,
we
no,
can
no,
talk this
no.
shit? Oh,
No, no,
I
no.
thought
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what you was
not
about to say.
Hey, no, because what you got, hold up. I'm talking about the Alabama game. Okay, they might have not been the underdogs for the Washington game, but look, I'm consistent. I'm not going to switch up. Loyalty is key. If I was rooting for them for the first game, I'm going to root for them for the second game, you know?
But
So
I thought you liked the underdogs.
Okay, I'm going to switch up my underdog just because it's a new game? No, if they're still, you got to think about it. CFP is only 2 games. Either way, they were going to be on top of whoever they had to play if it was Texas or Washington, no matter what.
Right, because they're the better team.
But that first game is what I was looking at as far as underdog status.
So if Cuse is playing UNC,
I'm picking Cuse every time. I don't care.
yes. But if they're playing Rosemont,
I'm picking Cuse every time. I don't care.
they're not the underdogs, though.
They're not the underdogs, but that's still that both of those teams are my schools. But Cuse has been my dream school, so I'm picking Cuse. I'm sorry.
dang.
I'm telling.
Hey.
I'm telling Hags.
I'm telling Hags. I'm telling Hags. I'm telling Bob. Oh,
Hey man, I'm sorry, man. But look, guys, appreciate you once more. And as I always say, be great. Why? Because I think you're great. Only person that needs to think they're great is you, Tobe. Yeah, you're kicking it with Tobe, huh? Yeah, you're kicking it with Tobe. What? Yeah, you're kicking it with Tobe. The latest podcast, you know? Yeah.